Hey everyone, welcome back to the Determined to Differentiate series that the CNI team at IU21 is launching throughout the whole month of January. My name is Kelly Tremba, and I am so honored and thrilled to be able to support all of our awesome and dedicated teachers in the Lehigh and Carbon counties during this challenging time. On Tuesday, January 12th, I shared a session that highlighted some strategies for differentiating within a whole group setting. And today, I will be sharing some engaging differentiating strategies that teachers of all grade levels can use when working with small groups. This slide deck is available to you on the YouTube page, so all of the examples and tools I use are available for you to use as you wish in your own classroom. Let's get started. I always start any session with a community building activity that allows me to connect with my participants. So while we won't be able to really do the activity, I'm going to start by modeling what I would do here if we were live and not recording. In this particular example, you can see on the screen it says Throwback Thursday. So what I would ask my students to do, my teachers to do, is to share a memory that makes you beam with happiness. I'd even go a step further and say, hey, do you have a picture in your phone that you can share if we're working with older students or as well as adults. In this way, as you can see, I have the chat, I have the video icon as well as the voice icon that we typically see in Zoom. So I could differentiate the whole group in this way, where students could put in the chat. They have a choice. They can show their face, their videos. They could hold their cell phones up with the memory if they have it on their phone, and they can also share vocally. So again, give students a choice. Typically, they're going to choose, one that they can hide behind. A lot of students like the chat, but some students are also very desperate for interaction with others, so they might unmute and talk, or they might even show their video. So when we talk about differentiation, of course, we have to talk about groups that are selected according to perhaps learning style, or it could be level of comprehension of a topic. It could also be of course, that you gave them a pre-assessment. So I'm just going to demonstrate a few simple strategies using a tool called Jamboard. And this tool is going to allow me to do a few things. One, I'm going to show you an example of how you can check in for the day using Jamboard, check for understanding, assess prior knowledge, as well as you can use Jamboard to create breakout groups. And I'm going to demonstrate that now. So within Jamboard, you can see that there are boards that populate. Up here at the top, there are, it will tell you that this is 1 out of 8 boards. I did not create 8 boards. However, I do have quite a few to share with you. So, this also could be a community building activity. I just have a simple question on the board. How are you feeling today? Maybe you have a group assignment, or you have a choice that you're going to offer to students today. And this is a way for you to break the students up into groups. So students who are feeling a little talkative today, you might want to put them in a group where they're going to be in a breakout room, and they're actually going to talk about what it is that you've assigned. Students who are feeling artistic on this particular day, you might put them on a Jamboard, or you might be able to put them on some kind of whiteboard app where they can contribute artistically. Students who are needing quiet, you might simply have them collaborating on a Google slide deck or a Google document. And then, of course, if we have students who are feeling unprepared for the day, maybe they're just not feeling it today, and they're not really understanding the topic. They didn't get to do the homework for the last night. Of course, it's going to take students feeling that they're being pretty honest on this day, but that might be a group that you personally want to meet with in a breakout room or in another way. Another way that you can gather information, gather data to inform what you're going to do for your instruction in the small groups is using sticky notes to share what you know. So having students use sticky notes over here on the left-hand side, I'll just demonstrate. So I know sometimes they rhyme. So this is something I know about poetry. So students can, put Post-it notes on here. They can put multiple. You can ask them to put their name on it, and then you can group them according to what they know. Some students may know a lot about poetry, and then some students may not have had much exposure to poetry at all. So again, you can group them in that way. Another example of a way that you can group students, here it says rate your level of understanding surrounding the distributive property. So you can have students, again, put in a Post-it note, or I'll demonstrate a text box this time. And if I write in this text box, my name is Kelly, and I am feeling like I need some support. I need a crutch, I need a scaffold in order to better understand the distributive property. This is a great way to create your group. So for example, the students who have gone to the baby steps corner, you can create for them a breakout group here where they can contribute. Perhaps you can create a template to put on the background of this particular screen. They can work through this as a group. Again, this is a way to create breakout groups as well, and then assign based on their ability level and their level of understanding, some assignments that you feel would be appropriate for that particular group. So we have the baby steps group. We have a group here we're in need of support, but they're upright. Of course, we have hiking boots here, so they're ready to kind of get down in the dirt, get down and dirty, and really wrestle through the topic. And then also we have here running sneakers. So the running sneakers, of course, would represent a group that is, really ready to take off and is really understanding. I know in some districts, Jamboard is not turned on. So, I just wanted to make sure that I demonstrated that something very similar to that can be used in Google Slides. And I'm just going to go out of slide mode for one moment, or presentation mode, to show you how you can do something very similar. So you see here, this is a slide deck, this is a slide within this slide deck. And I have just created some text boxes here with names. So for example, I'm Kelly, and if I would ask, and the teacher would ask, how are you feeling about, I'll go with the distributive property example again, and I'm feeling like I'm knee deep in it. I'm not quite treading water. I'm definitely not doing backflips off of the diving board, but my feet are wet. My feet are dealing with it. This would be a great way for students to, communicate with you how they're feeling. Maybe Sam and Joey are not feeling so great. They're not even dabbling in the water. And then here I have Janessa and Val, who are, accelerated, and they are doing dives off the diving board. And I might have another person over here with Kelly, and then another person here who's treading water. So just an example of how you can make a Google slide interactive. You can do this obviously with content as well, not just to gather information and gather data regarding how students are feeling about a particular topic. So moving along, I just want to take a moment. This is where I'm going to focus today. The ways that we can differentiate within groups. We can differentiate with different content, even within a same small group. And I'm going to show you some examples of that. We can differentiate the process through which each of the individuals in the group are navigating through the content. Of course, differentiating within the learning environment, even within a small group, as well as the product. I'm going to start with learning environment. I am certain that all of you are using either Zoom or Google Meet, and I'm not sure if you're doing live instruction or you are recording, but if you are not recording, I just wanted to offer the opportunity and just the idea that recording sessions like I'm doing right now for students is certainly valuable, because it will allow those students who are struggling to go back and review, to pause, give themselves some processing time. Perhaps if their mind was wandering, they're able to go back and review what they missed. Also, using Zoom or Google Meet breakout rooms. Of course, I'm sure many of you are using breakout rooms already to meet with small groups. And again, encouraging you to, give the students the option of either unmuting and sharing, or sharing their video, or placing items in the chat. Sometimes with the sharing of the video, I'll have my participants write something on a piece of paper and then hold it up to the camera. That is an option. Also, I just want to point out, I did already share Jamboard and how students can collaborate on that, but Google Slides and Google Documents often has, well, not often, they always have an opportunity for students to collaborate. So if I was within a small group, or I wanted to bop around from group to group, I might just create a Google document that looks like this. And this might be even like group one. So this might be group one's communication with me. So for example, if there's a student, I'm going to go with Sam, and Sam has this is, I am confused on, and then presents his question. I can either go in and visit that group if they are in a breakout room, or if they're just working collaboratively. And this is a way I can have a conversation from them. So this is my reply. Just again, a real simple way to communicate with students when they're working remotely, when they're working at home, when they're working at their desks, and you're trying to manage multiple groups at a time. So, of course, when we think of differentiating with whole groups, we think of each group having their own content. And content is typically based on ability level. It might be based on preference, but it's usually based on some kind of data that is guiding the teacher to steer that particular group towards one similar content within the group. But I just want to challenge you to think about within your group. So more heterogeneous groups. Of course, within one group, there might be groups that students that you want to challenge and extend, some that are on grade level, and some who also need some support and scaffolding. When we always create groups that are homogeneous, that doesn't allow the other students to interact with other students, and a lot of times there's some complacency that might set in with some of the students who know that other students are going to do the majority of the work. So when we think about content and ways that we can differentiate within a heterogeneous small group, I just want to share with you some tools. So for example, there is a tool called Newsela. Some of you may already be interested or may be familiar with it. And I'm sure that you are familiar with other tools that are similar to Newsela. The reason I like to share Newsela is because it does offer current events, sorry about that. And it will, for example, provide the same content in an article at varying levels. So I'm going to select this article here about junk food and teens, something that teens might be interested in. And I just want to share with you a couple of features with Newsela. First, of course, there is this read aloud option, which is really nice for all groups of students. Also, up here on the right-hand side where it says max, and I'm going to scroll down quickly to just to demonstrate some words. So this here that we're seeing, the max, the text grade level is grade 6. This is aimed towards a middle school or high school. Of course, it gives us the word count, but I want to show you when I toggle this. So let's say that you have, you're teaching, 8th graders, and you want to share this article, but you know that you have some struggling readers. You can toggle this down to, let's say, the 600 Lexile. The L means Lexile score. So you can have the same content, the same message being communicated to students at varying levels. So that is one reason that I like Newsela. Edpuzzle. Edpuzzle is another tool. Edpuzzle is more video-based. Newsela was, of course, text. I'm just going to take a moment and showcase one video here. This is a video you can see is 4 minutes long. And these little raindrop-looking things, these are times in the video when it pauses and either asks a question or it encourages students to think about something. You can place questions in here that students have to actually answer within Newsela. However, I'm sorry, within Edpuzzle. However, I'm certain that most teachers don't want to have to add students into yet another tool. So if you're interested in learning more about Edpuzzle, we do have some tutorials on Edpuzzle available within our IU repository. Also, this will be linked within this particular slideshow. One other thing I just wanted to quickly say about Edpuzzle is that you can, so this one has 5 pauses. You can incorporate more pauses. You can incorporate less pauses. So again, the ability to differentiate within one small group that is looking at the same video, learning about the same content, that is available with Edpuzzle. I just want to, I'm not going to show anyone Zoom or Screencastify because I'm sure you are very familiar with both of them. But I just wanted to remind you that, of course, you can record your own lessons and you can record scaffolded lessons within as well. So one lesson you might record, a 10-minute lesson, you might record in 2 or 3 different ways in order to offer more support or less support to your students as it applies to their ability level. And finally, I just want to share another tool that is called Vocaroo. Vocaroo is one of my favorite tools. It doesn't require very much other than hitting the record button. It would allow you to record some kind of supportive message for students. For example, if I'm a math teacher and I know that my students are going to have difficulty once they get to number 14 because it's pretty challenging, I can press the record button, and as you can see, the time is moving. I'm recording a message here that is going to give them some hints and perhaps some reminders about this particular process that is required for this problem. So once I stop that, that is going to give me the opportunity to either share with my students a link, or I can click on this QR code. I can take a snippet of that and put that on the handout or the digital worksheet right next to number 14. They can scan that QR code to hear the message that, or the hint that you provided for them on that particular number 14. I just want to also say that a really simple way to assess some prior knowledge in order to be meeting the needs of all your students within each group is you can also present to them some of the content that you are going to be presenting, some of the content that you're going to be offering either in that day, that week, that unit. Give them a list and have them categorize that list of words or concepts or processes. Have them categorize them into T, I can teach these, H, I've heard of these, question mark, I am clueless about these. This should help inform you in how you can instruct your students, what level of instruction they need for the content, but also it can help you to create groups, because if you have students who can teach other students, then certainly we want to take advantage of that, because students typically learn at a much higher level those things which they can teach and talk about and present themselves. So I'm big on processing time. I did a lot of talking so far. We're about halfway through this session, and what I'd like to do is just give you a moment, 60 seconds to be exact, to just take a minute and process and write down any ideas that I just shared with you that you'd like to remember and try out in your classroom. Okay, I hope that gave you an opportunity just to really think about some of the things that I shared. I know it's a lot in a little bit of time. And of course, I'm probably not talking as slowly as I should be, and nor as slowly as I would be if we were meeting live. But I'm trying to maximize the amount of time that you have offered to me today. So just a real quick hit, I always like to, endorse the importance of processing time as an ELA person, and having read research. I know that writing cannot happen simultaneously when the expectation to listen and think is present. So keep that in mind with your own students. We want to keep students engaged, and we want to help students to internalize the learning. Of course, we want to see their learning, and all that requires processing time. So when students write things down, all of those things happen. So just a little plug for, as a reminder to always give your students some processing time, so that they can all participate and they're all engaged. And then, of course, they can share with you any of the learnings that they have recorded. So I'm going to move into just sharing with you a few examples of how you can differentiate within a small group when it comes to the process through which students are learning. I'm going to share with you a couple examples of choice boards, scaffolded templates, group slides, as well as individual slides. And when I'm referring to slides, of course, you can use PowerPoint, but I'm sure most of you at this point are using Google Slides because it allows you to be collaborative. So, this is just an example that I made real quickly based on interest. So if I want to give my students some kind of choice based on interest or their preferred modality of learning, I might offer a novel, a poem, a short story, a motion picture, audiobook, play, album, lyrical dance, or some kind of interpretive dance, or a musical. Of course, the hope would be that they're all surrounding one content area, or time in history. Of course, there's tons of historical fiction out there. So we just wanted to share, an example of if we want students to learn about, let's say, the Industrial Revolution, we could certainly search out a novel, a poem, a short story, etc., that is going to be representative of that moment in time. And students, of course, will learn about that moment of time through any one of these modalities. So that's just one example of offering even within a small group. Another one, this is actually something that I shared in the whole group presentation. However, I just wanted to share it again because this is an opportunity with students in the same group learning about the same content. This is an opportunity to share with you how a slide could look different. Obviously, this slide here, if we're learning about the learning pyramid, this slide here is one that is extremely supported. This one is a little less supported. The blue one here is obviously very empty. There's no support at all there. And finally, this green one here is going to be, it says provide a visual representation of each building block of the pyramid. So this one is going to extend and have students apply what they learned through the learning pyramid. And it will also, of course, appeal to some who have artistic ability. So just wanted to share once again an opportunity for you to differentiate within the same group, learning about the same content, but each group has a different type of scaffold in which they can access the information and then regroup at the end to share what it is they have come up with. This here, I'm actually going to click on it to go live. This is an example of group slides. So for example, in this particular example, all of these slides over here on the left-hand side, they represent a group. So they're all very similar. So group one is going to be dealing with character. We have a recorder, we have a reporter, and we have a timekeeper and a clarifier. So obviously the recorder is the person who's going to facilitate the conversation and be typing within this group slide. The reporter will be the one who is listening very intently and contributing and is going to report out. And then of course we have the timekeeper who will keep the time, which again always seems to be the easy job, but I added clarifier here. So in this particular example, and I'll get to that in just one second, group one is dealing with character, group two, setting, group three, mood, group four, conflict, group five, theme, and then you'll notice here that slide 6 is in need of clarification slide. So that, again, if you have all of your groups working on a slide, you, the teacher, can be bouncing around to see what kind of work they're doing. But if you're not working live with them and they have questions, they can place their questions into slide 6. You know, group 2 has a question, and then of course you can either bop in to their, you know, if they're in a breakout room or into their slide, help them out, give them a response here. Notice that some of these topics were more complex in thought. So for example, theme and mood are going to be more complex topics than setting and conflict. So again, a way to differentiate within the groups and among the groups. Another example, and this is using individual slides for each group member. So if you remember the example that I just shared with you, there were slides for one group. So each member of the group were working on one slide. This particular example represents one group. So for example, there are 6 slides again within this one group. So this is group, let's say the yellow group. Everyone within the yellow group has their own slide. So if we're dealing with a system within the human body, for example, the digestive system, this student name has been identified, has been assigned organ number 1. And we are pushing our students to think what the text reveals about organ 1, what inference can I draw about organ 1, and organ 1 is essential to the rest of the system, because this is a great opportunity, again, to give some of the students who are ready for the challenge, the more challenging organs, the organs that are a little bit more complex in their roles in the human body, and ones that perhaps need to rely on other information like the liver or the pancreas, where they rely on enzymes, and the students would have to have an understanding of the different bodily fluids and nutrients that are involved with those particular organs. Again, here at the end, I've offered a slide in need of clarification so that the teacher always has a hand and in these groups and is available to answer questions. I'm going to move in last here to product. I'm sorry, I went one slide too far. So product, this is another favorite example of mine. When we're talking about differentiating by product, I'm going to shoot over there to the right-hand side first. You can see choice boards is probably nothing very new to you. In this particular example, this is a science example, and the products are offered here. So students can create a song, they can create flashcards, they can choose to prepare a lesson and teach the class. They can choose 8 vocabulary words and create a hand symbol for each, a story, flow map, again, another story, a drawing. So you can see here that students have a choice, and typically students are going to choose something that is appealing to them. They're still learning the same material, they're still learning material, period, but the product that they are going to produce in the end is going to vary from student not only preference, but also ability level. They will naturally select the one that is most appealing to them. Over here on the left, I'm going to share with you a live example of how we can, within a class period, of course, give students an assignment and group them by learning style. So this could be used with so many different examples. I chose with this particular example to create my assignment around the Bill of Rights and social studies. So I'm going to share with you how I would group my students by asking you the question, how well do you know your students? Students tend to fall in one of 3 categories. We all know our students in the class who are very analytical, who question us, who ask questions, who challenge others. We know many of our students are practical. They're street smart. They want to see how this applies to real life. And then, of course, we have a whole bunch of students who are creative. So this particular example is going to build and surround learning preference and learning modalities, learning styles. So here I have a picture of the Bill of Rights here. I know you can't read it. There's no intention that you're able to read it. But in this particular example and this assignment, what we're going to have students do is we're going to have them look at the Bill of Rights, and we are going to have them, if they're in the red group, remember red meant analytical. The red group is going to summarize each amendment using 1-syllable words. So they're going to summarize, let's say, the First Amendment using only 1-syllable words. So obviously they need to process that very carefully, and they need to summarize that. So this is, again, analytical group. The green group, they're going to, remember, this is our practical group. They're going to apply. What does each amendment look like in real life? So they're going to write statements that share, what does this look like in real life? Okay. The yellow group, again, yellow is creative. The yellow group is going to create simplistic images or icons that represent each amendment. So they're, using their artistic ability, their creativity. The blue group is also representing the creative group. They're going to create a song, a rap, a play, etc., to represent each amendment. So here we have our theatrical group, our groups that are our students who are very expressive. So in that way, again, we have our red group, our green group, our yellow group, and our blue group. And on this particular slide deck is where they would, showcase their final products. And then, of course, you could culminate this activity, bring it all back together by having the group share. Audience has to guess which amendment is being represented by their representations in how they represented them in each of their groups. So I love that example. Feel free to use that example and apply it to your own content area. I'm assuming not everyone tuning in does teach the Bill of Rights. So once again, I know we're getting to the end here. I'm going to give you 1 minute to process. and then we will wrap it up after this 1 minute. Take a moment. What did you hear? What did you like? Jot it down. What do you want to try in the classroom? Okay, guys, I just want to, say thank you for tuning in. Continue to join us throughout January. Coming up, we have critical thinking, student connections, and maximizing differentiation. These courses that are available to you are shared on the CLIU website, and also ACT 48 credit is available. So when you go to the website, this is the exit ticket that is available for you, and it is very easy to be found when you click on the website. It looks like this, CLIU Ready PD. This is the month of January, a sneak peek of what's coming in February, and you see also right here the January exit ticket. So thanks for getting together with us here today. I hope you all are leaving this session learning at least 1 or 2 new strategies, or just being reminded of a few strategies that you used to do and would like to resurrect. Thanks again. Have a great day.